It's great in the summer.
Good evening and welcome to the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, in the Battle Creek City Commission meeting for March 21st, 2023. It is 7 p.m. We're going to have a moment of silence for our invocation, and I'm going to ask everyone to please stand if you're able to, and we'll conduct the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner O'Donnell. If you're able to stand for a moment of silence, please do so, and then we'll have the pledge. Commissioner O'Donnell.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just so you know, we've been asked to speak up at our meeting because sometimes during the meeting, you're not able to hear us. So maybe if we're speaking too loud or not loud enough, signal us and we'll quiet it down or we'll pick it up a little bit. But we're cognizant of the fact that it was brought to our attention that the sound isn't as loud as it should be at home on AccessVision. Next item on our agenda is a roll call. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Commissioner Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Lance.
Here.
Commissioner Morris.
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Here.
Mayor Banky.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Present.
Commissioner Simmons.
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Present.
And Vice Mayor Sophia.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here for the meeting. I'm going to call upon our Assistant City Manager to make the presentation of the presentations.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioners, good evening. So commissioners may recall that back in March of 2020, we approved 20 community-funded ARPA projects that were totaled about, I'd say, $8 million, and all were designed to sustain and build the capacity of local nonprofits who are providing critical services to many of those in our community that were hardest hit by the pandemic. And some of those projects actually have been completed recently, and at this point, we thought it would be very helpful for the Commission to ask those who have completed their projects to actually come and attend a meeting and just share a little bit about the projects and the outcomes of the projects. So the first group who has the pleasure of joining us this evening is the South Michigan Food Bank, and they have come to share a little bit about the results of the project. So I will turn it over to their developer director.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. All right, Wilson, thank you so much for inviting me in. Appreciate your time. In 2022, we were gifted the ARPA funds of $152,088. And in 2022, we distributed 11.7 million pounds of food to our 8 counties that we serve, which is marvelous. 2.7 million of that was in Calhoun County. So for those $152,000, we were able to provide 19,011 fresh food boxes just in Calhoun County. So of that 2.7 million pounds, 868,000 was fresh food. So if I do my math correctly, we did 28,935 boxes in Calhoun County. So the ARPA funds were able to do over 19,000 of that. So it's a very big chunk. So thank you very, very much for that. Right now, over 15,000 people are visiting a food pantry every month in South Michigan. That's a lot of people. Over 20,000 people in Calhoun County are food insecure. So in order to make that happen, these gracious gifts are very welcome to the food bank. So we thank you all for including us in that award. It really is appreciated. Last year we had over 33 USDA loads canceled. It wasn't because they didn't want to help, it was because there was no resources. So we did not lay down and not do something about it though. We went ahead and spent $1 million of our own in order to supply the food. So of course that's not sustainable. That's not in any good business practice. So funds such as yours really are critical to our mission. So thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Any questions of the Development Director at the South Michigan Food Bank?
My name is Lori, by the way.
All right. Any questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much, and thank you for brevity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor
Thank
Banky.
you. Yep. Ted?
Sure. Okay, then we have a staff presentation this evening. Commissioners also may recall that back in January, we had a change in leadership in our IT department. We were very fortunate to have an experienced veteran of the team, Chad Frayne, take over as our IT director, and Chad is here this evening to present for his department.
Thank you, Ted. Mayor, Commission, hello. Thank you for allowing me to present to you the IT department. We have a slideshow, only 4 slides, not too huge. So the IT department is actually comprised of 3 different divisions. So we have the 311 Information Center. Citizens can reach the call center or the information center by dialing 269-966-3311. They will reach a call center specialist. They provide them with general information on what the caller is inquiring about, or they will transfer the caller if more detailed information is needed from a specific department. The next division is the Geographic Information System, or GIS. GIS works to create maps that can be used to identify asset data. Some of these maps are available on the city's website under the Geographic Information Systems Department link. Our final division is the IT, or Information Technology Operations. The IT Operations is responsible for installation and maintenance of the computer network system. Operations supports around 700 employees with using a wide variety of software. About 2,000 different pieces of software is what we have at the city. IT Operations also provides support to around 550 computer devices used by those employees. Next slide, please. So this slide is showing our department's employees. We have 17 total positions, with 16 of those being filled. We have 5 call center specialists under the 311 division. We have 5 current employees and 1 open position under GIS, and then we have 5 employees under the IT operations. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a couple of tasks for each division in relation to the city manager's goals. 311 is expanding tasks to assist callers by taking over incoming calls to the Department of Public Works. So we'll be taking those calls from Department of Public Works and taking those on as 311. GIS is working on updating maps to newer software versions and updating the asset information to bring things more current. IT Operations continues to provide cybersecurity training to employees and education around cybersecurity as well. I've also included a couple ARPA projects under the IT department. One we actually completed recently was the firewall replacement, kind of protecting us, our city's network, from the rest of the world. And then we're also looking to work on our fiber expansion throughout the city, trying to create a plan to push out more fiber lines for more access to internet. Next slide, please. And with that, in conclusion, I would like to thank you for allowing me to present to you the IT department.
Are there any questions for our director? Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Chad. Every time I've interfaced with anybody in IT or in the department, it's been fantastic. So you guys do outstanding work. One of the questions I wanted to bring up was, obviously we have a lot of moving parts here, over 2,000 pieces of software, interoperabilities, network issues. Obviously, data security, redundancy, all of this is necessary now. One of the things I noticed when I was coming on as a city commissioner was there wasn't a centralized IT committee. There wasn't a one body responsible for kind of overseeing all this. I'm not saying that it's necessary or anything, but I'd like for the administrator to maybe take a moment to see if there would be some added value in that and kind of centralizing all this, at least the oversight of it. Just some food for thought. It was something I noticed that I'd like to know if has crossed anybody's wire. in the administration, so.
Thanks. If I'm understanding your question, Commissioner, is right now, really, the IT department does oversee all of that, and then Chad, in this instance, reports to Ted Deering, the Assistant City Manager.
Okay.
So, and then the IT Director is part of our larger senior staff. And so we feel right now, under Chad's leadership and the team that he shows, we do have the oversight of all of our
Fantastic.
information systems, but, you know, there's always room for improvements, and we are constantly challenging IT, as he said, with the number of software, but we're also looking at replacing our entire ERP system. And so, you know, and they help monitor all of the police technology. If anything, what we've talked about is, are there departments that are more heavily utilizers of IT services, and do they need somebody embedded within their departments? Certainly, if I were to ask the fire chief or the police chief, they would say yes 10 times. But, you know, that we are continually analyzing with Chad's help and in the data points. And so we're watching, do we hit that metric where we do need to consider additional, like, embedded in the departments? But from an oversight standpoint, I think we're doing pretty well in what we have right now.
I think that's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I just want to make sure that it, you know, there's always eyes on it, because you do a fantastic job. Just, you know, continual improvement is some always. I'm an IT professional in my training. So.
Very, very cool, very fun.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank
Thank you.
Any other questions? Commissioner O'Donnell.
I would just like to comment that your GIS mapping is probably one of the best I've seen, and is very helpful and useful. I hope that a lot of the community's taken advantage of that great work that you've all put into that.
Thank you. Yeah, they've done a great job at updating that stuff. It's a great team there.
Well, we want to say thank you very much.
All right, thank
And
you.
also for keeping within the 5 minutes.
Certainly.
Thanks. All right, Chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
There were none.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is petitions, communications, and reports.
There were none.
Thank you. Next item is public comment regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on consent agenda. If you'd like to make public comment regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address before beginning your comment and indicate which resolutions you are speaking to. Are there any public comments? Yes, sir, right there. Thank you.
Good evening, Commission members. Jason Raleigh with AR Engineering, 5725 Venture Park Drive, Kalamazoo. We're actually resolution number 90. I just wanted to introduce myself and say that we're excited to work with the City of Battle Creek on this exciting project, and hope that the resolution passes.
Well, JR, I want to say thank you very much for coming over. It's not very often that we have one of our vendors come over, and it speaks highly of your firm. It really does.
Appreciate
Any
it.
other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll call your boss and tell him thank you. Any other public comments at this time? John.
I was told by somebody in the audience I should speak louder. My name is John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. I'm going to be speaking in regards to Resolution 98. Before I get to that, I'm going to give you some statistics in regards to what's coming. In 2016 through 2035, a 20-year loan was taken out called a Series A. The interest rate was somewhere between 4 to 5%. I didn't know what the information was. It was 4 or 5, so I used 4% as my base. The loan in 2016 was $7,725,000. At 4%, after 20 years, the citizens of Battle Creek will be paying $3,509,875.31. Also at the same time, Series B of 2016, Series B loan for 2016 to 2035, 20-year loan. They couldn't give me the exact interest rate at the finance department. It's somewhere between 1.66% and 4%. Being conservative, I use the 1.66 as my basis. The loan in 2016 was $8,890,000 at 1.66%. It would have been interest rate or higher if it was a higher interest rate, of $1,563,000, $1,563,339.38 on top of the loan itself. Now, what does this have to do with Resolution 98? It's another loan. They cannot tell me exactly how much is going to be spent, but the range is no greater than $10 million. Estimated interest rate is 4.5 interest rate. If they spend all the $10 million at 4.5 at a 20-year period, the interest rate will be $5,183,585.03. Simply put, you're loaning us, you're putting all these loans, and this cost for these three here comes out of our water bills. Two are for waste management, and this new one is for the Verona wells for the water system. If you can't put money aside for improvements without charging and making loans, you're taxing the hell out of the citizens of Battle Creek. There are a lot more loans other than these, and we're not going to mortgage our rates into prosperity. It also shows poor judgment in regards to not putting capital improvement plans in place so that the taxpayers, citizens of Battle Creek, do not have to pay the excessive loans plus the interest on top of them. Thank you.
Thank you, John, for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Yes, Kathy Antea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioners, City Manager. Two things. First, I just want to say, I should have said this last week, I think the DPW has been doing a fabulous job during the winter with the winter services, et cetera, with the recent tree removal stuff too. Commissioner Ballard mentioned that 2 weeks ago. I know this is not, sorry. So, thank you. The point of me being up here is I had thought at one point in time we had talked about the idea in these resolutions of reappointing members to the Battle Creek Development, members to the Airport Advisory, et cetera, that we would start to list those somehow on the agenda. I'm sure that information is available someplace out there in the cyber world, but frankly, that's more than I can dig for on a lot of occasions. It would be really helpful for the residents if we could list who those people are that are being reappointed. Not that we want to shame them or blame them, but it's great information, and I really would like to know who's being reappointed. And perhaps it takes up too much paper, but I would request or ask, would you reconsider that idea? Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Mayor, if I could just add, that was a mistake. It has been appearing on our agenda where the names of reappointments there. It was just missed this time. So apologies to the commission and to the public.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll go on to commission comments regarding meeting business.
I would like to move for approval of the consent agenda.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
Been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda?
Commissioner Lance is a yes. His system went down.
Well, we have our IT people here.
Commissioner Simmons, is yours working?
I'm trying to do a refresh here, but yes.
Thank you.
I'm assuming they have been approved. The consent agenda has been approved. It's only because you gave your annual report, Chad. Next item on our agenda is resolutions not on the consent agenda. Resolution number 94. When you're ready, Madam Clerk.
I'm hoping that'll come up next time. The Battle Creek Police Department is in need of an individual with expertise in federal firearms laws, documentation procedures, and dispositions. Brad Duck was previously employed with the BCPD as a quartermaster and retired in April of 2019. His prior knowledge and experience will assist with training current staff in the disposition and documentation of firearms in order to reduce the current backlog. Pursuant to Employment Provision 296.09, Section C, no person shall be employed by the city or paid with city funds who has retired under the provisions of the Police and Fire Retirement System. The city manager may make exceptions to this provision with the approval of the city commission when she feels the interest of the city would be served thereby. The city manager believes that the interest of the city would be best served by making an exception to the general prohibition of reemploying city retirees and to allow Brad Duck to return in a civilian, non-sworn temporary capacity. This resolution requests authorization for the city manager to employ retiree Brad Duck on a temporary part-time basis under 296.09 Section C.
I would like to move for the approval of Resolution 94.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 94. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 94? Resolution 94 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 95.
Recent inspections for 4 bridges in the city has revealed cracking and spalling of beams, deck surfaces, and unsealed fixed joints. While the deterioration of these bridges presents no hazard at this time, rehabilitation is needed to stop further deterioration that could present dangers to life and property. The City of Battle Creek supports preventive maintenance on the following 3 bridges: Angel Street Bridge over the Kalamazoo River, Kendall Street Bridge over the Kalamazoo River, McCamley Street Bridge over the Kalamazoo River, and a superstructure replacement for Burnham Street Bridge over the Kalamazoo River. This resolution seeks support for the rehabilitation of 4 Battle Creek bridges and authorizing the city manager or city employee designee to seek federal and/or state financial participation for these projects through a grant application process.
I would like to move for the approval of Resolution 95.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 95. Do we have any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 95? Resolution 95 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 96. Madam Clerk.
The solicitation was issued February 10, 2023 for the 2023 Capital Preventive Maintenance Program project. This project is for preventive maintenance work on local and major streets throughout the city of Battle Creek. This will include chip seal and fog seal treatments with pavement marking replacements to follow. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for 2023 Capital Preventive Maintenance Program project from Pavement Maintenance Systems, LLC, in an estimated amount of $277,849.40 with unit prices prevailing.
I would like to move for the adoption of Resolution 96.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
It's been moved and supported to approve the Resolution 96. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission? Yes, Commissioner Simmons.
I would ask staff to address concerns that I've heard about the chip seal previously and poor quality of the work and what our recourses are a couple of years down the road if all this material starts coming up. I'm thinking Watkins, it's an absolute disaster right now. We did it a couple of years ago. What mechanism do we have in place to come back on the vendors, the contractors who
implement this. I've not been impressed with our chip seal program over the last few years and some of the roads that we've done. And after a very short period of time, I know this is intended to extend the length of the lifespan of the underlying road, but the quality of this top layer that we're putting on. And has the city had any concern, and what have we done to address that?
Normally, I'd refer to the DPW director, but I want to respect that Steve is new and I don't see Jarrett. So you are correct, Commissioner. We did have some chip seal projects that certainly didn't turn out as we anticipated. We certainly have held the contractor responsible for those when we could, as the provisions in the contract, and we certainly did share with purchasing our concerns, so I believe that's been addressed in any contracts going forward. I think the struggle we have with what you mentioned, Watkins, and I know Gethings and 24th is another example, is the timing of the chip seal. It was late in the so we are learning, especially when, we haven't been chip sealing local roads very long, but because resources are not unlimited and they're tighter now, we have been trying them in residential areas that we hadn't been before. And so we are learning. And in those particular instances, is my understanding, if I recall, and I'll get corrected if I'm wrong through the engineering tomorrow and let you all know, but it was the time in which the end of the season that happened, and then of course Michigan weather is unpredictable. So it was a perfect storm. It was late in the season, probably too late for a chip seal, and then we got harsh weather, which impacted, I would say, negatively on Watkins, and then I'm familiar with 24th and Gethings as well. So we are trying to put other mechanisms in place so that won't happen. Certainly contractors know that we have increased the date in which they should be applying chip seal, and we think they're using a better product as well. Again, it matters the composition of that chip seal, and so we continue to tweak it as we go. And I know we're addressing how we handle those that have failed, and I don't really have an answer for that yet, but I know the teams are working on it in DPW.
I appreciate that answer, and that we're addressing that going forward in the contract, so thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just curious on that note, too. I see, if I understand correctly, we only received one bid for this. Is this a contractor we've used in the past? Is this the same one Commissioner Simmons has referred to?
I do not believe it's the same one. And we are seeing just one bidders. It's going to be very difficult to get contractors in this coming construction season. One, because of supplies and materials and their availability. Two is also labor. And so we are seeing that throughout the organization in bids, specifically in certain areas, specifically construction related. I know that in the workshop we talked about, because the well casings are so specialized, we don't think that we'll be impacted as greatly as we will for streets, water main, sewer main type projects, but we are watching this, and this is not uncommon. I wish we could say that we had more bidders, but it is the kind of the product of the environment we have right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. Any other questions by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on 96, please? Resolution 96 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 97. Madam Clerk.
On February 7, 2023, the City Commission approved a deficit elimination plan for the Intermodal Transportation Center, ITC, fund with Resolution 69. The Michigan Department of Treasury requires a deficit elimination plan to be in the form of a projected budget. The projected budget should have revenues by source, expenditures by activity, and changes in fund balance through the deficit's elimination. The approved resolution did not meet that format requirement, and Treasury has given the city 30 days to correct the format of the plan. This resolution requests approval of a format correction to the February 7, 2023 approved deficit elimination plan for the Intermodal Transportation Center Fund.
I would like to move approval of Resolution 97.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 97. Any comments, questions, or clarifications by the commission at this time? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 97? Resolution 97 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 98. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The State of Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy has issued an administrative consent order regarding deficiencies related to well casings and contamination at Verona Well Field. As part of the corrective action plan, city staff are working with engineers and other consultants to remedy the issue. The Finance Department has been working to secure financing to complete the first phase of the project. The plan is to complete as much of the project as there is financing available up to the net proceeds of the bond, with the expectation that future phases will be funded through an application to the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. This resolution approves the issuance of water and wastewater system revenue bonds under the provisions of the Revenue Bond Act of 1933, Act 94, Public Acts of Michigan 1933, as amended.
I would like to approve Resolution 98.
Commissioner Reynolds supports.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 98. Are there any comments, questions, or clarifications by the Commission at this time? Commissioner Simmons.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to city staff. I was not able to make it to the workshop earlier, and I know I was able to review some of the background, the slideshow that they presented earlier today. I guess my main question is, I know interest rates right now are absolutely ridiculous. What is our concern about issuing a bond and what the current rates are? I think one of the citizen comments had that question. And then, okay, we issue $10 million in bond. Do we have an opportunity, maybe in a few years, hopefully, interest rates come down to refinance that? How does that work? I just don't want to leave our water system saddled with a very high interest rate loan and we obviously have to pass those charges along to our users, our citizens. So can you please, I don't know if that came up in the workshop, and could you please address that? That would have been the question I had.
I don't mind, and I'll probably defer to Aaron on your question about refinancing revenue bonds, because there's a lot of parameters around revenue bonds versus general obligation bonds and refinancing. The reason why we're going forward now, you're right, this is not the best environment to bond. However, we've been issued, our significant deficiency violation notice that has a time stamp on it, and we are about to enter into an administrative consent order with EGLE. Both of those things give us very small amount of time to put these pieces in place. The good news, and that we shared at the workshop, is this is already built into our current rate study. So it isn't going to change the rates that we have in place right now, and I think it's through the end of 2025. It is. We're going to have to adjust a project at the Verona plant, but because this is now incredibly high priority, we know that the well casings must be addressed immediately. I think our first instance was we had 30 days, then we had 120 days, and now we have to have a plan in place, and within that 120, we have to show work in progress. So that's the first step, was this phase one, which is what the bond will go for. Again, there's some unknowns in this project. We might be able to finish phase one, phase two at the same time. However, we have a plan that's been approved or being approved by EGLE, which kind of puts us on you must do this now, city, without further penalties from EGLE. Now, Aaron, he could probably answer your question about at what point could we refinance revenue bonds if the interest rate environment becomes more favorable.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I have a specific time period in which we would be able to refinance. I think that's subject to some potential prepayment penalties on the bonds that are issued. But we'd look to take advantage if interest rates come down, to realize some of that interest cost savings. And because the bonds are tax exempt, we get a little bit of a break on the interest rates. So PFM, our municipal bond advisor, has quoted us somewhere in the neighborhood of 4.5% to 5%, which is not ideal compared to a year ago, but is better than 7%. So.
Thank you. And I don't question at all the need to do this, and everything that the city staff has outlined to us is absolutely required, and we have to do it. We want to keep the our drinking water quality and meet all the standards that are required. So I'm supportive of this, and hopefully in the future we can save some money.
I appreciate that. You know, I think what we want to stress is, one, our water is a very high quality. It goes above and beyond standards. There's no issue with the safety of our drinking water. That's one of the things we wanted to press upon in the workshop. So there's nothing wrong with the safety of our water. As a matter of fact, we're testing more than we ever have before, even testing for things we're not required to, because we want to go above and beyond to make sure that's never in question. And we want to make sure that the residents in the city know, and our partnering jurisdictions that we share water with, is that this is not going to affect the rate study or the rates that are in place right now. We're able to shuffle some projects and move those down so that, you know, we won't see any changes in there either.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I want to thank everyone for all the questions during the workshop and during the meeting, and for the participation by the commissioners also. That was very encouraging. Are we prepared to vote on Resolution 98? Please vote on Resolution 98.
It's not coming up.
Commissioner Ballard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 98 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is general public comment. If you'd like to make general public comment regarding matters over which the City Commission has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you, and then come forward to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. Are there any general public comments at this time? Okay. Any commissioner? I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry about that.
Could I have come bearing gifts.
Clerks, you give them to the clerk, and the clerk will distribute them to us.
I'd like for you guys to, well, clerk, can you hand them out to them, please? I'd like for you guys to have this while I read this.
That's our policy. The clerk will take care of it. Thank you.
If you could hand them out to them right now, I'd appreciate it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them there.
Adam will need one for
I
the
was
record.
hoping you'd hand them out to them, is what I was saying, so they could read them.
We will need
But that,
one for the record.
yeah, that's pretty disrespectful. That's pretty simple. That's,
Mr. Heikkila, we will need one additional book for the record to put in the commission folder. Are there 9 here?
for what now? No, this is a gift to the board members so that they have this to read. I don't need you to give anything else for that. I want you to give them to the board members. That's what this is. This is.
All right, we usually distribute them another time, Adam, but.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, we got so much going on here. I guess we can't take 2 seconds to hand it out. I'm sorry, but it's almost like
All right,
the whole
let's
technology thing.
Let's start the
It's
timer,
crazy.
please.
All right, fantastic. So this book here, I know you don't really care about what I say up here, but again, my name is Adam Heikkila, former Bedford Township Supervisor. All right, great. Silence this time is fantastic, Mr. Ballard. So
Well, let's not get
this
personal.
Here,
This is your first warning. Do not
Excuse me,
get
Mayor
personal.
Benke, excuse me, don't interrupt me again during my time. I'm going to reclaim now my 3 seconds
I asked
here.
you not to get
I'm gonna-
personal with
I'm gonna
any
add it back.
commissioner.
Mister, you didn't say anything at the last meeting I was here as he interrupted and made a disparaging comment essentially towards me. And afterwards, as he continued on, not one of you have made a comment towards us, so that's fine. Let me read this as to why you all need this here. America has entered troubling times. The rule of law is crumbling. The massive expansion of federal government power with its destructive laws and policies are grave concern to many. But what can be done to quell the abuse of power by civil authority? Are unjust or immoral actions by the government simply to be accepted and their lawless commands obeyed? How do we know when the government has acted tyrannically? Which actions constitute proper and legitimate resistance? This book places in your hands a hopeful blueprint for freedom. Appealing to history and the Word of God, Pastor Matthew Truella answers these questions and shows how Americans can successfully resist the federal government's attempts to trample our Constitution, assault our liberty, and impugn the law of God. Not only the federal government, but Matt would also add here, but you as local government also impeding on our rights. So this doctrine of the lesser magistrates declares that when the superior or higher civil authority makes an unjust, immoral law or decree, the lesser or lower ranking civil authority has both a right and duty to refuse obedience to that superior authority. If necessary, the lower authority may even actively resist the superior authority. Historically, this doctrine was practiced before the time of Christ and Christianity. It was Christian men, however, who formalized and embedded it into their political institutions throughout Western civilization. The doctrine of the lesser magistrate is a historic tool that provides proven guidelines for proper and legitimate resistance to tyranny, often without causing any major upheaval in society. The doctrine teaches us how to rein in lawless acts by government and restore justice in our nation. Now, unless you care about those things, you should read, unless you are the opposite of what this book is fighting, if you are what this book is fighting against, I guess, you're going to reject this. You're going to treat me like you treat me here, and the others that simply want the right things to be done, and to rein in the tyranny that has controlled this community for far too long.
Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, John Kennefick. Adam, please, when we're doing public comments, please do not talk.
John Kennefick, 234 South Avenue. I'm going to speak in regards to the water. About 10 years ago, when the City Commission passed the increases over a 5-year period, the amount of increases over that period for water, water readiness, sewer, and sewer readiness, the total 10 years ago was approximately 200 cost increases. About 5 years ago, for those same cost increases, the water, sewer, water readiness, and sewer readiness was 408 cost increases approximately 5 years ago. A little over a year ago, you passed the next cost increases for those same four things, which is 1,052. So even though you're saying you're covering for that, you're still taking out loans and costing the citizens more money. Now I'm going to talk about a loan for a moment. A loan for the construction of the Department of Public Works on Kendall Street. Somewhere in the 2000s, that loan was approved by the City Commission, and payments were made by the citizens of Battle Creek through their tax dollars. Somewhere around 2008 and beyond, the economy collapsed, the banks collapsed, and it became a became a buyer's market. There was an opportunity by the government of Battle Creek to refinance that Department of Public Works loan at a lower interest rate, which means that there was a cost benefit. That happened, except that the citizens of Battle Creek still pay the full amount while the government of Battle Creek keeps that cost benefit. But what was not known at that time and was hidden was that there's a maturity date on that loan. When that maturity date is done, then the loan is completed. But not in this case, because while the low interest rate was dropped and the city government kept the money, they extended 4 more years out on that loan. So the citizens of Battle Creek not only get to pay more money, and the city government keeps that benefit, but the lending agency will recoup that money over the next additional 4-year period. You're still mortgaging us into not prosperity. I suggest you start considering not doing things at the last minute and thinking ahead. The citizens of Battle Creek would probably approve that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other? Kathy Antea.
So, Sunny Sally here, Kathy Antea, Park Ridge, Battle Creek. And I say that, anyways. So first, kudos to the city and the Department of Public Works for the way the wintertime stuff went. I mean, closing of the city hall, that's always a crapshoot to make a decision like that. And I think that I'm really pleased to see that our administration is looking out for safety first. So I really appreciate that. And I also am always impressed with DPW and the work that they do. For 35 years, I did similar work to what our DPW does, so I really appreciate how they manage that. And in that regard, this past week, I was privileged to be part of the styrofoam recycling event that we hosted here. And it was really cool. I'm the official counter of the vehicles coming through, and I chit-chat with people because I'm so shy. And I spoke with probably 150 different cars as they came through. And the number one question was, hey, we're here, but it's Wednesday. Why aren't we having this on Saturday anymore? And I was really glad for every time they asked me, because I got an opportunity to tell them, well, that's your city government working more efficiently, because if we do these on weekdays, there isn't near as much the staff costs as it is on a Saturday. And I said, and after all, you're here and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're like, yeah, that's pretty cool. So there was a lot of good vibes coming from that, even though it was on a Wednesday. I think our numbers were still good. So I just want to give big kudos to Betsy and to Patty for another fabulous recycling event. And as always, I am happy to participate. And finally, and this may be a little bit into the future, and it might be a stretch for this City Commission, but I know that in the not too distant future you may be asked to start weighing in on the Citizens Review Board, an idea that's been around for 3 or 4 years now that we've been working on. I say we because I'm also part of the NAACP, and I know that Carrie Whitfield has been one of the bigger people involved in that. And I ask one thing, first of all, to think about it very open-mindedly, and second of all, I also want to ask you a question, and that is, do the police only protect and serve citizens of Battle Creek? Because words matter, and citizen is a very specific word. Or do the police here protect all the residents of Battle Creek? And I might suggest to you that instead of the word Citizen Review Board, which is a very specific identification, that we might consider Resident Review Board. If we're already considering this type of activity, then I think that we should be more broad-minded than we've already been, and that we need to consider protecting and reviewing all of the police action, not just the ones for the citizens of Battle Creek. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, any commission comments? Commissioner Patrick O'Donnell.
I'd like to thank everyone that got a chance to come out for Donuts for O'Donnell out at Sweetwater's. Very busy place there. Very good to the community there to serve a fine donut product. I'm not doing a commercial for them, but they're there, and those people are working very hard, and I got to meet people from out of town coming through and visiting our wonderful town, and they said great things. A couple came from Texas. There was another group that coming through to from Iowa. There was so many events in the state of Michigan. It's amazing. People say there's nothing going on in Michigan. There's so much going on with adult and youth events, from euchre tournaments to archery to cheerleading. I mean, there's people coming through our state, coming through our wonderful city. We get to experience them for a moment, to come through and learn about us just because we have a donut shop, let alone all the other shops that we have in our town that are giving great customer service and showing what this community means to the area. And I congratulate all the businesses that do that on an everyday basis. It's got to be hard some days to get up and want to serve the community because the times that we're in, but they do it with a smile on their face, and people remember. And they'll remember the Saturday afternoon they stopped by and had a wonderful donut. I want to say March is a reading month still, so continue to read to anybody you can. KCC's been putting on some reading to the public schools. I'd like to thank them for that, getting the mascot out there and showing what a wonderful institution we have here. Kathy, thank you for talking about DPW and what they've been doing, cleaning up after our storms. We're just about through here. I think yesterday was the first day of spring. So everybody look forward to a warmer weather, and thank you for all the city workers that were out there cleaning up after our recent storms and making sure that all of our citizens are safe. And one more thing, to me this week, even in sports, it's just really personal to me. I don't know if you're into bowling. There was a bowling person named Jason Belmonte, qualified 51st on the first day of qualifying for bowling. Worked really hard, didn't give up. He ended up winning the tournament of champions. That's amazing. You didn't give up, didn't say, you know what, I got 51st, I'm a millionaire, I'll go home to Australia. He stuck with it in 14th major. It's amazing that there's still that will out there for people to see that. Michigan State winning when they were being counted out. Come on, Battle Creek. We're right there with you. We're going to build this town back up. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your comments. Any other commission comments at this time? Commissioner Chris Simmons.
Everyone's commending DPW, and I just want to really quick say, yesterday I attended the I-94 workshop hosted at DPW, a collaboration with MDOT, and I attended one a couple months ago, and that was regarding the Capitol Avenue Bridge over I-94 reconstruction, and the opportunity for residents, and the amount of residents came out very impressed. The number that come out, express interest, want to learn more about the project, and that DPW and MDOT have worked so closely together. You fill out these comment forms there, and you think sometimes, oh, I'm filling out a government comment form, it's just going to go in the trash bin. But they actually take, MDOT will actually take what you put on that comment form, and then they get with the city DPW and say, let's address this. And we had several residents out for the bridge reconstruction that said, hey, stop the traffic going on our side roads, or Christie Drive, or back with Langley, divert them somewhere else, okay? So MDOT came to the city and said, you address this. And the city, they worked collaboratively to address this, and then some of the same opportunities yesterday about the I-94. There's going to be a bunch of closures for quite a large stretch, 7 miles, something like that. They're repaving I-94 this summer, of closing intersections down, and people had the opportunity to say, hey, you could do this different, and the city working with MDOT and making this workable. It's going to be a major inconvenience, but hopefully after that's done, then things are going to be much better on I-94 and our overpasses, and so I'm looking forward to that work getting done this summer. But I just wanted to thank city staff for working so well with residents, with MDOT, and just getting the job done. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments?
Mayor?
Yes.
Could I just say, just a reminder, because of spring break, our next commission meeting won't be until April 11th, and we'll be back-to-back, April 11th and April 18th. So just wanted that we keep pushing that out there, because it's a little bit off our schedule.
Thank you, Rebecca. I think we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much for attending.